welcome back to Divine Decode, the show where we blend clarity with courage. I'm your host, Pragya Malvia, and today we are diving into something we all crave but often struggle with: real, lasting change. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, how did I get here? And how do I break free from the same old patterns? Well, you're not alone, and today's guest knows exactly how to help you shift that story. Joining me is Tracy, author, intuitive coach, and the bold voice behind the transformative book Get Changed. This book isn't your typical think positive guide, it's a call to action, a roadmap to reclaim your power and rewrite your life script. So, if you've been waiting for a sign to stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose, this is it. Let's get into it. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, Tracy, first of all, many congratulations on the book. And it's so amazing, whatever you've done with it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, it took me about a year to write that book. It's a small book, but I always say it's small but mighty. And yeah, I have some feedback about the book that it's kind of a lighthearted self-help book. I think a lot of self-help books are kind of heavy and daunting. And that's what I kept lighthearted, and I use a lot of relatable metaphors and, touch on a lot of different topics. And so I feel like it's not overwhelming.
That is
um,
so great,
yeah,
Tracy.
I like to keep things simple.
Mm. Tracy, books like Get Changed, they don't come from theory, they come from lived experiences, right? So tell me, what was the moment that made you say, enough, I have to change and I have to share this with the world? Was there a rock bottom or a breakthrough that sparked the journey of yours?
Yes, there's definitely a shift. So just a little background. I have a cleft palate and cleft lip, and I have always, it impacts my speaking voice, and I have always been, growing up, I was really shy and insecure, and I held myself back, and I played small. And so I ended up in the mortgage industry for 26 years, and I was really unhappy for most of it. It really wasn't aligned. In fact, I grew to become very miserable in that job. And in December 2022, I was laid off my job. And I had been praying and that, God, just, I'm waiting for you to change my life. What do I need to do? Or, just put the right people and the right opportunities in my life, and I trust you, and I'm just waiting for that to happen. When are you going to do that? I kept praying. So it was very passive. And, when I got laid off, I knew that it was an opportunity to really create the life that I wanted. And that realization took a little time to come to, but I realized God said, okay, I'll close that door for you and open a new one. But I'm not just going to give you what you want. You have to take the action to create the life that you want. I support you in aligning decisions, but I don't do everything for you. That's up to you. You need to learn and grow. And so I became psychic, actually. My intuitive abilities opened up a lot more after I got laid off my job, and that's when I was guided to write a book. And so I thought, okay, I've never written a book before. I don't have a background writing. And so I thought, okay, I know God's opening this door for me, so I'll write. And once I started writing the book, it was not long in, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in, I received a message. I heard a voice and I saw an image in my mind's eye that said, "Get changed. How to become the master of your own life." And I knew that that was supposed to be the topic and title of my book. And I thought, oh no. Like, I don't talk like that. And I hadn't actually ever heard of that term, master your life. And I thought, oh, I had just got laid off from my job. And I thought, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And you want me to write a book on mastering life? Thinking of the wrong person. But I did realize that it was going to be a lesson for me as much as the readers. So it was a profound journey.
That is so Tracy. And also, I would love to know when you decided to share that story publicly. Was there fear in you? And I think a lot of us we worry about being judged when we reveal our real struggle. So, what was it for you?
Yes, that's a really good question. I did have fear. I still have fear because, like I said, I am psychic and I receive messages quite regularly that I still have healing to do around my fears of judgment. And I knew though that this is my path, this is my calling, this is what I'm here to learn and do in my life. And I have to really face my fears in order to learn the lessons that I came here to learn. And it doesn't make them any less scary, but I have to learn and grow through them because that's what I'm here to do. And so I started sharing this publicly, really through podcasts. And it was scary. At first, I was really afraid to share my abilities of being psychic. I was afraid to share that for fear of judgment. I was afraid that people are going to have a hard time hearing me and understanding me and judge me for that. And, I just had all sorts of fears. But I knew I had to get out of my comfort zone. And you know what? It's been wonderful. I still have fear. But going on podcasts has been really a blessing because I am much more comfortable now speaking in general, not just on podcasts. And so, facing this fear has had benefits already, even though I still hold fear. And so I am growing, I am learning. And so it's been really beneficial already.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Tracy. It was so great of you to share that with us. Also, here is something that I have heard a lot, okay? That if I change, will I still be me? And honestly, it's a scary thought. So, how do we embrace growth without feeling like we have abandoned who we really are? Or is there a difference between shedding old layers and losing our essence? What do you have to say on that?
Yeah, I think, I'm going through this transformation process, and we all are. And, I have, part of the fears that I have, or at least my little inner child has, is becoming this new version of myself. Like, what am I, I'm getting out of my comfort zone. Who am I going to be? It's all that, fear of the unknown and this fear of change. But when we let go, I'm learning, when we let go and just let go of the past and let it be and just live in this present moment, you're able to, um, it's just an easier way to grow. I'm still going through this process. I'm still learning to let go. And I am being guided consistently. Like, let go of fear. I fear, when you fear something, you're going to fear that which you fear, at least you should. And so it's really important to let go of that fear of who am I going to become. Because when you grow, you go up. Like, you don't go backwards, right? When you're growing, you're leveling up. And so as long as you're taking aligned action, and your thoughts are of a positive nature that you're intending to grow, you're not going to be worse off than you were before. You're just going to be a better person. And so it's really taking that leap of faith and doing that inner work and that growth work so that you can be a better person. Even if it means becoming a completely new version of you, because you know that it's going to be a much better version. And so it would be worth all of the fears and the challenges that you have, the kind of struggles, because you're going to end up in a better place.
That is so true. And thank you again for sharing that with us. I hope the listeners they resonate with you. Also, in your coaching work, what is one pattern that you see women repeat over and over that blocks their happiness or success? And how do you lovingly but firmly help them break it? Is there a process or is there a simple routine that you follow?
Yeah, so I am new to coaching, so I can't say I've had a history of, over and over. But what I see and what I've learned is that a lot of us, particularly women, 'cause I work with women, is that we have a lack of belief in ourselves. Like, we believe we're not worthy, we believe that we're not enough. And, in my book, I talk about how I had this, um, not enoughness. I didn't feel like I was good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, talented enough, strong enough, thin enough, fat enough. All these different things, and those all take time to heal. And so I think the one thing that I would say is show up for yourself and be consistent with your healing journey, because it is truly a lifelong journey, and it's a painfully slow process sometimes, but it's well worth it. I like I said, I have a lot to learn yet, and I still have a lot of fears that I'm trying to work on letting go. But I've come so far in my journey, and it's been a painfully long journey. But looking back now, I can see how far I've come. And so little baby steps, just every day, little things like meditation or affirmations, or even taking a couple of minutes and talking to your inner child and comforting her or him, and just saying, I love you, I'm here for you, let's do this. If we're leaving you, ask them what they're afraid of, or ask them how they're feeling, and listen, and really listen. And, doing just these little steps, baby steps, can really compound and over time, and you become a different person and a much better person.
That is so great, and that is so lovely, the break that you shared. And yeah, I really, really love that. And I truly think that the hardest and the most healing part of the journey is, again, following a routine, having to, work on ourselves. That is so great. Also, your book, it talks about living a self-mastered life, but let's
Mm-hmm.
make that right. What does mastery look like on a regular Tuesday? Is it about having everything under control, or is it something deeper, like inner calm, even when life feels chaotic? So, how is mastery in your view?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I feel like even when I first heard that term, like master your life, like, kind of slippery, like who masters their life? And I think there's confusion on what that term really means. Mastering your life doesn't mean that, facing challenges and that everything is perfect. Mastering life means taking responsibility for the life you create. And it's all about personal growth and getting out of your comfort zone and becoming the best version of you. And so, for me, it's really about stepping into your power and creating the life that you want, becoming the best version of yourself. And, the chapters in my book, there's only 7 chapters. It's 7 steps to master your life. And, chapter 1 is eliminate bad habits. Chapter 2 is get out of your comfort zone. And chapter 3 is get to know yourself, which is super important. Chapter 4 is nurture your health. Chapter 5 is change your thoughts. Chapter 6 is develop a spiritual practice. And chapter 7 is step into your power. And so what that looks like to me on a regular day, on a Tuesday, is showing up for myself, doing the inner work. I journal, I meditate, and I am self-aware. And when I respond to something or situation, I pay attention to it, right? And I'm like, okay, well, why did I get upset? Or why did that upset me so much? Or how can I be able to stand up for myself more? And so I kind of reflect on my emotions and my actions and trying to dig deeper into them. And so that's what mastering your life means to me on a day-to-day level, is really just being aware and taking action toward becoming that better version and creating the life that you want.
That is so lovely again, and I really kind of agree with you on that. Also, what are your views on this, that self-mastery, is it a destination or is it an everyday practice that a lot of people do?
Yeah, it's definitely not a destination. It's an ongoing journey. It's a lifelong journey. And it's just a matter of being consistent and consistently getting out of your comfort zone, consistently being self-aware to learn what triggers you, where you might need healing, and where you can grow, and taking action to do that. And it's also, one of the chapters is developing a spiritual practice. And so it's connecting with that higher power, connecting with yourself on a deeper level. And um, you will receive divine guidance. And it's taking inspired action on that guidance so that you can live a more aligned life and one that flows. When you have fear, like I do, when you have fear, it blocks the flow. And, the universe wants to support us, all of us, and being open to their guidance is really important. And so trying to eliminate that fear, the doubts, and all the negative energies will help it helps open us up to receiving that guidance so we can act on it.
Ah, I love that. I love that. Also, it takes the pressure of perfection and puts the focus on alignment and the focus. Yeah,
Like,
and that is such a refreshing perspective, Tracy. It is so great. Also, do you think that people resist change mostly because of fear or judgment? Right? Like a lot of people, they just are looking forward for a change in their life, but there is some judgment and fear that, stops them. So, what is that one thing that you would like to tell them? And yeah.
I would say follow your heart and follow your intuition. If you're feeling like you need change in your life, even as scary as it is, I would go for it. Trust it. Because whether that's changing yourself, changing your physical environment, changing relationships who you hang out with, whatever that change looks like, I would trust your instincts, follow your heart, and make the changes. And that takes time. They can be baby steps. But start honoring yourself, because when you honor yourself, it actually helps you feel more calm. It calms your nervous system. And so doing that consistently is going to help you in the long run.
Mm, that is so lovely. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, Tracy, thank you for such a soul stirring conversation. And you have reminded us that change, it does not come from waiting for permission. It comes from choosing differently, starting today. So here's my challenge for you all listening. Tonight, grab a notebook and answer this question. What story about myself am I ready to stop believing? Write it down, tear it up if you have to. That's the first step to reclaiming your power. And if today's episode it stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Grab Tracy's book, Get Changed, and start rewriting your script. Thank you for joining me on Divine Decode. I am Pragya Malvia, and until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and remember, you are the author you always were. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.